Hi, everyone. I'm San Francisco Mayor London Breed, and we are standing right across the street from 730 Stanton, which will be 160 affordable units. I can't remember the last time affordable housing was built in the Haight-Ashbury community, and I just want to give a shout out to the late Mayor Ed Lee for believing in my vision to purchase this property that used to be a former McDonald's site and helping to make this dream become a reality. And what's so great about today is so many dreams will become a reality more than ever before, because the state of California has officially declared San Francisco a pro-housing city. Yeah. And I know folks are wondering, well, what does that mean? It means a lot. It means more money. It means more housing. It means more jobs. It means more opportunity. It means all of the above. And we have come a long way as a city. Some of you might remember back in 2021, when the Board of Supervisors rejected almost 500 units of housing on an empty parking lot in Stevenson Street. It set us back considerably. And the great news about today, with some of the changes we've made, even when we tried to go to the ballot and we weren't able to get some of those policies passed, we are currently on the road to what I believe will be a housing boom all over San Francisco. And it has not been easy. And when I say it hasn't been easy, the folks who are part of the YIMBY movement, small movement back in the day, Jane, grown into something that has taken flight not just here locally, but all over the state of California. And in this year's presidential elections, it's being talked about, finally, the need to make sure that people are focused on building more housing, because that's what this is all about, to make sure that we have safe, affordable places to call home. It requires less of becoming a city of no and becoming a city of yes. Getting to yes. And we've been getting to yes by removing transfer tax to convert buildings downtown. We've been getting to yes to remove regulations, including reducing impact fees and hopefully waiving even more. We've been getting to yes by renegotiating development agreements of the larger projects of housing. But I got to tell you, nothing has helped us to get yes more than what State Senator Scott Wiener has been doing. This pro-housing designation will make more of our projects eligible for state funding. And in fact, the project behind me is not a part of any state funding, but nevertheless, with this kind of designation, we'll be more eligible for not just state funding for housing, but for transit and other resources. It gives us more points so that we can have a real competitive edge in comparison to other cities all over the state of California. And how we got here has been a remarkable journey. It has been a hard journey, and oftentimes one that has been a lonely journey. When we have tried to push pro-housing legislation through the Board of Supervisors in the past, it has constantly been met with opposition. Not anymore. Locally, this city cannot obstruct housing opportunities. And the reason why we got there was the hard work of, as I said, people like Senator Scott Wiener, the Carpenters Union and their advocacy, and so many other state legislators, where we are finally at a place where there will be no more obstruction and housing will be as of right. Yeah. Before I turn it over to our next speaker, let me just give you an example, because I need you to understand how significant this is. There's an affordable 100% family affordable housing development with, I think, about 100 or so units on Mission between 7th and 8th, that from the time we identified the lot to the time we moved in the first family. It took 10 years. And here's the problem. That has been too common, too often, taking a decade to get even affordable housing or housing of any kind built in this city, and the expense of it is really pretty awful. Not anymore. Thanks to laws like SB 423 and all the advocacy, more recently in the Mission and Cesar Chavez, from the time we identified a lot, thanks to SB 35, to the time we broke ground on that property, a little bit over 1 year. Those 146 seniors will not be waiting a decade to move into new housing. This is a game changer. This is how we get serious about housing. This is how we build housing in every neighborhood all over the city without obstruction. And as a pro-housing city for the state of California, we will have more resources to leverage to get the job done. And with that, let me introduce our state senator, our pro-housing champion in the state of California, Senator Scott Wiener. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I really want to just thank the Mayor for her just really deep partnership with us in terms of moving San Francisco in a positive direction on housing. When Mayor Breed was first running for mayor in 2018 was the same year that I was authoring a huge housing bill to basically rezone all of San Francisco and the bulk of California, SB 827, and it caused just an explosion. And there was, there was support, there was opposition, and in that mayoral race, every major mayoral candidate opposed that bill, except for London Breed, who supported it, and she won because the voters want more housing. And every step of the way, in the work that I've been doing for the last 8 years in the Senate, if I had had a mayor in San Francisco who was hostile to our work, that would have made our work in Sacramento a lot harder. And I cannot overemphasize the importance to our state level work of having mayors like London Breed who have been on board every step of the way. So thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah. So, we've done a lot of work in Sacramento. It started before I got there, but it really accelerated after. And the work has been, it's been structural and it's been huge. And I am so grateful to my colleagues in the legislature, to first Governor Brown and then Governor Newsom, and to the amazing coalition, the Carpenters, the YIMBY movement, everyone who has worked so hard to make this happen. And we have been step by step telling cities that, we all love local control when it works well, but pure local control in housing has not worked the way that we've needed it to work, and we need a better state-local partnership. And so we have done that at the state level by putting teeth into the housing element process, so it's not a joke process anymore. It's now real, that cities have to do real planning for a lot more housing and then have to follow up and actually zone for that housing. We are moving away from the era of permitting, of getting a housing permit as going into the political mosh pit, that every single housing project is somehow a unique political fight, instead of saying, let's just set the rules ahead of time, and if you follow the rules, you get your damn permit, period, end of story. And that's what we're doing. And when having set all these rules, there are some cities that fight us every step of the way, that decide that they don't have to follow the law. I'm talking about the Huntington Beaches of the world. But there are some cities that, despite having maybe had some issues in the past, that because of the right political leadership, have stepped forward and said, how can we implement what the state is asking us to do. And San Francisco, despite a long history of housing problems in this city and a long history of City Hall not always being very hospitable to housing, this city has pivoted. And because of the leadership of Mayor Breed, because of the leadership of Supervisor Melgar, because of the leadership of Supervisor Mandelman, of the board, and various members of the Board of Supervisors, I am so proud of what San Francisco has done in passing a strong housing element, in removing local obstacles to housing, and accelerating the permitting process, in doing the rezoning that we need to do, as controversial as that might be. And this new designation, which we created to reward cities that are doing the right thing, that's what the pro-housing designation is. It's to reward cities that are stepping up and doing the right thing. Not that many cities have received this designation. San Francisco has now received it, and I'm very proud of this city. So thank you, everyone who made this possible. And with that, I would like to bring someone up who really has stepped up in a big way on housing. Supervisor Melgar really worked with the mayor and helped lead the way on the legislation to remove some of the obstacles that local housing approvals face. So with that, Supervisor Myrna Melgar.
Thank you. I'm Supervisor Myrna Melgar. I'm the supervisor for District 7 on the west side, where we have entitled thousands of new units of housing, much of it affordable. And I'm so happy to be here with my mayor, London Breed, the mayor who has done the most for both housing development on the website and affordable housing for the first time in decades. The west side is a pro-housing area of San Francisco, and I'm so proud of it. To be here too with Senator Wiener, who has single-handedly transformed our the possibilities for our urban landscape, to the housing for the next generation, but also to make sure that what we leave for the next generation, our city, can be sustainable, can be affordable, can make room for folks who need to downsize and folks who are just starting out in homeownership opportunities, raising a family. This is a wonderful place to be. What's behind me is the future of San Francisco, places that are connected to transit, where things are affordable, where families can thrive and send their kids to public school. We can do this together, and on the west side of San Francisco, we will do it. I am so glad that our mayor is leading the way with our upzoning proposals, and that we will work in partnership to make sure that neighborhoods are whole, that they are thriving, and that we are creating new housing. Being partners with the state with its pro-housing designation is fantastic. It means that the partnerships and the goals that we're all trying to achieve together will be met. And I am fully confident that on the Board of Supervisors, we will have the votes, Madam Mayor, to make sure that the next step of our history in San Francisco makes way for the new generation. Thank you for being here, for paying attention to all the things that we're doing, for this wonderful building behind me. And with that, I am going to bring up one of our strongest partners, somebody who had the bravery to go into the west side and to brave, sometimes the doubts that new things bring with them, but we have to do because we have a responsibility to. Katie Lamont from TNDC.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Supervisor Melgar, for that lovely introduction. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Senator Wiener, and to the whole Board of Supervisors. Also, thank you to Dan Adams and the incredible staff at the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. TNDC is one of the largest affordable housing developers rooted in San Francisco, and there is no way we could do the incredible work that we do without working for such an incredible city. I'm so privileged to work at a place where the mayor, the Board of Supervisors, the departments, all of the staff, and so many members of the community are deeply committed to affordable housing. We're so pleased that the state is recognizing the city's pro-housing efforts by recognizing what it's doing to do upzoning, to streamline approvals, and to dedicate funding. The city has always been incredible in its dedication of a huge proportion of its revenues to housing, more than any other city, any other place. And that allows us to expedite affordable housing, and we're going to be able to do it even more, and to expand access to affordable housing to more people throughout the whole city, facilitating new housing like 730 Stanton behind us, which is a co-development of TNDC and CCDC. And I just want to really, really emphasize how important it is to have the support of elected leaders at the city and the state level, supporting moves into new parts of the city. This would not have been possible 10 years ago, and is only possible because of the leadership of folks like Senator Wiener, who put forward bills that think about all the things, all the different ways that someone might poke a hole in the streamlined approval that he crafted with the input of so many others, so that we are actually able to use this tool. And also to Mayor Breed, I will be forever grateful for standing behind TNDC when we ran into some troubles in a different neighborhood in San Francisco. And without that, there's no way that that development would actually happen. It's knowing that we have leaders at the city and the state level that have our back, that we are going to listen to input and respond to it thoughtfully. And when we do that and we design and locate housing according to plans, that it will move forward. I also want to say that I've really appreciated in TNDC's expansion into places on the west side. We're developing at the foot of Haight and here at the top of Haight, and we own in the middle of the Haight. So I'm really excited about that, and also moving into the Sunset and the Richmond. And when we've moved to the west side, we knew, like in our hearts, and we were pleased to see it actually manifest, that there are people living in all of these neighborhoods, like Myrna was citing in her district, who want affordable housing, who know people who live in their neighborhoods who need affordable housing. People who are the people that you interact with when you go to a store, when you take the bus, when you go get your blood pressure checked, the people who care for your children, who run the rec center where you send your children for their programming when they're like preschool and you have to go to work. And so we were so pleased that there's organizers throughout the city that were looking for something to support, and we gave them something to support, and they came out for us. So it's been a beautiful thing to witness this expansion into the west side. Again, it's all possible because our elected leaders we know are behind us, supporting us. And another group that has helped us is the YIMBY movement. So I'm pleased to now transition to Jane Natoli. Natoli, sorry, I should have checked the pronunciation.
Good morning, everybody. We're standing here today because we're getting this pro-housing designation, and that's been a long time coming. That's not something we did yesterday. It's not just work that occurred a few days ago. This is work that's taken place over years. This has been persistence. This is because of leaders like State Senator Scott Wiener having the foresight years ago to pass legislation that helps make buildings like the one behind me possible. And leaders like Mayor Breed, who've been on board and been with us since the beginning. We were proud to support her in 2018 because she was that visionary leader. As the YIMBY movement has grown, we've seen more and more wins. We always knew in our hearts that housing was popular. We knew people wanted it. We knew we needed more of it on the west side especially. I live on the west side. This is very close to where I live. Some of the other buildings that other folks were mentioning out here, Katie was talking about some of those other TNDC developments, they're down the street from me. And 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. But we've been getting people together and we've been passing these laws and we've been changing our reputation. People want to keep saying San Francisco isn't really very pro-housing, and yet we keep seeing more and more affordable housing going up. We see more proposals to build more housing throughout all of San Francisco than we would have thought possible even 5 years ago. This is a different city. We've changed that reputation because of the hard work, because of the persistence. That's what we've done, right? Mayor Breed hasn't faltered in that. And even in a tougher environment where the Board of Supervisors wasn't necessarily always with her, she was still there. And now we have a board that's more willing to work. We have leaders like Supervisor Melgar and Supervisor Mandelman who are actually going to take that mantle and try and do more, right? This is because we have put together a movement of everyday San Franciscans who are saying yes to housing. And we know that we will benefit from it. We know that our neighbors and our friends need these kinds of opportunities, and that we don't get that if we don't lead San Francisco into the future. We don't lead San Francisco into the future by saying no to housing over and over. We don't lead San Francisco into the future by pricing out our neighbors and friends. We lead San Francisco into the future by building homes so people can stay in their communities, stay rooted in them. So newcomers, not so new anymore, but I moved here like many other people, and I want to continue to put down my roots here. That's something that we allow when we're doing this work. The pro-housing designation is just another piece of this puzzle, right? We've been putting it all together, and we wouldn't have put this piece in place if we hadn't done so much other work. If we hadn't had bills like SB 35 and SB 423 at the state level, if we hadn't strengthened our housing element process, if we hadn't had leaders that actually passed a compliant housing element, all these things have led to today. And this is just the next step, right? We're not done. This is the beginning of doing that work. We're going to keep building. This pro-housing designation is going to allow us to do more. And yeah, it's not going to solve all of our problems, but as Senator Wiener likes to say, and I've heard him say this before, right? It took us a long time to get into this housing shortage. We're not going to solve that with one bill or one piece of legislation, but each piece keeps connecting up. Each piece that we push as a movement, that we send our people out there to go support, that Mayor Breed signs, or that Scott gets through the state capitol, right? That's what this movement is all about. I'm looking forward to the day that I don't actually have to attend any more hearings, and because we've just made that as of right? I got a lot of other things I could be doing. And we're getting to that point. We're starting to see that. If you look at what's been coming recently, we have a lot of informational hearings at planning because of the work we've done. And that means housing's getting built. That means we're not creating veto points. So I really want to thank all of the leaders who are doing that work. Like I said, Mayor Breed has been pushing that for a long time. And in 2018, it didn't seem like it was the popular thing. Now everyone wants to talk about how pro-housing they are and how much work they've done. But some of them have been doing it for a while. And we all know that, right? And we have Senator Wiener who's been doing that. And again, it wasn't necessarily very popular in 2017. And now we see legislators up and down the state who want to have that mantle, right? We have leaders like Supervisor Melgar who are really, really taking the reins on our housing element process at the board level. And people want to be like, they're not really doing anything. I assure you, we're there, we're talking, behind the scenes, a lot of work is going on. And if San Franciscans aren't noticing and aren't fighting about it, and it's just easier to find a place to live, that means the work's successful. And that's what we're starting to move towards. So I really appreciate the work that everyone else has done and all of the activists that have been alongside me since day one. I've been doing this a while, and the tenor, the conversation around housing has changed. We do that work together. We support strong leaders who will do this. We get great laws passed, and we build a movement. That's what the YIMBY movement's been all about. We don't just do it here, we do it nationally, but this is home. This is where we started, and this is spiritually and psychically such an important place to be a pro-housing place. So I'm really honored that we got this designation today, and I can't wait to do more of this work. Thank you for your time today. With that, do we have anyone closing? All right, I'll turn it back over to Mayor Breed.
Thank you. I just want to thank a couple of people who are here who, as I said, are a really important part of why San Francisco has been able to get this pro-housing designation. As you heard from many of the speakers, but there's also a number of organizations, including the Northern California Carpenters. I want to thank the Housing Action Coalition, and Corey is joining us here today. I want to thank the folks from Mission Housing. Thank you, Sam Moss, for your work. I want to thank all the transit rider folks who are here somewhere, because this pro-housing designation also gives us a leg up with transit dollars that could be invested, because it all goes together. Our transportation network and infrastructure, as well as building more housing, it all goes together. I want to thank a lot of our housing team with the City and County of San Francisco, including Planning Director Rich Hillis, the Mayor's Office of Housing, Dan Adams, and thank you so much to our housing expediter, who's probably very happy about all this stuff, Judson True. All right. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Lisa is in charge of all the policy and working to get everything done with the state and local laws. And there's a bunch of other folks who are not joining us here today, but they play an important role. It takes a village. And what's great is the momentum from this village that is finally getting us to a place where housing will be built all over San Francisco, which will create some significant opportunities for people of different layers of income to be able to afford to live here and thrive here. Thank you all so much.